You're listening to Love is the Answer, a podcast that explores the power of love in real life, with your hosts, Lynn Kidd and Laurel Elstrom.
Welcome, everyone, to Love is the Answer. I'm Lynn Kidd, and my co-host, Laurel Elstrom, is not here today. And we have a beautiful guest who I'll introduce in just a minute. I just want to first say that Love is the Answer is a podcast that is brought to you in part by Take Heart Publications. And Take Heart is the publisher of A Course of Love and Choose Only Love. And you can find out more information if you go to the Course of Love website. It's acourseoflove.org. You can download the first 24 chapters of A Course of Love for free. And there's all kind of cool stuff on the website about A Course of Love. And then we also have our Zoom groups and in-person groups all listed under the groups tab. Okay, so I'm going to bring in our guest for today is Lan Thi Bray. And Lan Thi was trained in conventional counseling coaching model, which she integrated with a caregiving style from her years of work in hospice and bereavement. Her current companioning model or approach has evolved from her experience in life coaching, companion care, soul regression therapy, and dignity therapy. So welcome, Lan Thi, to Love is the Answer. It is such an honor to have you here.
Oh, thanks so much, Lynn. I'm so delighted to be here.
Oh, it's a joy to have you. Lan Thi's joining us from Washington State, the United States. So, yeah, I thought we could, well, there's so much here. You and I have talked about your work in companioning care and hospice and bereavement and dignity therapy. So, what really struck to me, something you had sent me sort of a few weeks ago about the companioning approach. I love this word. It comes from the Latin root companio, which means C-O-M, means to be with. And then companioning, means bread. This model or this style that you've developed is like eating bread with a friend or just a companion, sitting down and having this wholehearted relational experience. So maybe you could just share a few words about that and we'll just go from there.
Well, yeah, it's a beautiful picture of sitting down at a meal with the greatest of friends, breaking bread. There's nothing quite like having that experience. And then the conversation just flows naturally, and it just evolves, and people are in such a state, in sharing a meal. So that companioning. So when I brought that into the coaching aspect of it, it's really about sitting with someone as if you're breaking bread, and that bread is the ability to share and to receive who they are. And which brings into that understanding of the way we mirror.
Beautiful.
Mirroring, there's different ways of looking at it. In the world, it teaches you when you're talking to someone posture-wise, and if you reflect back to them and if you imitate them in posture, and that's all good. But where I'm talking about mirror is the ability to see yourself in another person, all the while in that awareness of when you're talking, what am I projecting? Boomeranging back to me. And it's really about your own self-awareness when you sit across from another person. And the triggers We talked about triggers before,
Mm-hmm.
and those triggers, what's coming up for me? What's showing up? And that awareness, am I projecting it?
Yeah.
Am I in judgment of the other person when it's really what I'm struggling with?
Mm-hmm.
And the other aspect that I really, really love being in is when the mirror is that you are the mirror in which you can reflect love being in the other person. By being the love that you are and holding that image. And there's nothing in this world that I've yet to experience that delights my heart more when I see that glimmer, that spark of recognition in the other person's eyes
Mm-hmm.
of who they are. That is the thrill of my heart. Is when they share the dark side, their struggles and their suffering. And I sit with them and hold that image of love.
Mm-hmm.
When they recognize it, it's just beautiful.
Yeah, I love that. And what I'm hearing sort of is, this is a whole relational experience in giving and receiving. Because in my sitting with someone and actually, I always say that listening, deep attunement with another in this relational experience is an act of love. What I've discovered is I can only do that if I'm also in tune with my own self. And
Absolutely.
so if I'm not, they become a mirror to me of where my blocks are to the awareness of love's presence. It's a healing opportunity, giving and receiving for both, because it's really all one anyway. It's one experience. And I feel like it's this giving and receiving where eventually everything sort of breaks down into this rawness of it's an open space of vulnerability and rawness, and something beautiful emerges in that. Right now, the COVID is another way to, I don't know, bring out something raw, vulnerable that needs maybe to be looked at in all of us, an opening that can occur because we're being forced to go within right now. It's like that's
right.
That's the place that's not locked down. The inner chambers of our heart are not locked down. And so maybe in a way this is also something that's being called on in the whole collective consciousness of the planet. You have any sort of thoughts about that and everything you're doing with your work and what's going on in the contemporary times?
Yeah, I mean, we're not the first to experience this type of restriction and stuff. You look at history.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what I feel in my readings and research is that we're a lot more further in the sense of collectively in such an awareness. But it still comes down to a choice.
Mm-hmm.
How we choose to respond, how we choose to interface with what's before us. When this whole COVID thing, it triggers a lot of things. Things that have been hidden from our own self. And when I am triggered, to me, it's not about making it wrong. It's not even about analyzing it, but for me, it's a call to go deep.
Yeah.
It calls me to a place because what it's saying to me is you're still too far up in the surface where you're being affected. It reminds me of the ocean, when you're on the top of the water and there's a storm,
Mm-hmm.
the raging winds and the waves and all that. But if you go and you dive, the further down you dive, the calmer it is. And at the ocean floor, if you watch any of those neat documentary of nature is the ocean floor is this incredible stillness, beautiful. And that's the call for us when the storms of life is raging. We're at that emotional place where it just feels like chaos. And especially when we're in a relationship and things are being said and we're just in the midst of the chaos of triggers, the awareness, that spark of awareness, is dive deeper. Go deep. Because it's two state of being, right? We're either love or we're in fear. And so if I'm in fear, I know that I need to dive deep to connect with that place, that trueness of who I am, which is love, and be able to surface and sit in that love no matter what's going on around me. And so in this time of separation, of physical separation, it really gives us an opportunity to examine our own state of being with it. And how am I mirroring back? I love that scripture in the Corinthians where Paul states, "For now we see through a glass darkly, or mirror dimly, but then we shall see face to face. Now I know in part, but then I shall know exactly as I have been known." Another version says, "Then I shall know fully, even as I am fully known."
Beautiful.
And that's a promise that as obstacles are removed from our ability to see, and we truly are able to be in that place face to face with another and to be known, and to be known in such a way that we know that we are known by the love that we are. So this time of calling into a deeper sense of who we are, diving deeping, triggers, all kinds of triggers, is to come. The other choice is fear, abandonment, depression,
addictions. They say a lot of people are, there's a lot of drinking, and even suicide has risen on this whole COVID-19 pandemic.
Divorce rates are sky high. You know, it's really affected, and the awareness is choices. You know, it's a choice to see what's inside of us, to see what's coming up for us. And are we projecting it? Are we projecting it? Or can we take it and integrate it deeply within us?
It's a both and experience for me. It's the absolute and the relative. It's heaven and it's earth. So as we were both talking too, in the course of love, we're not being called to diminish our humanness. It can be an opportunity to open up, to be this vessel where love pours through. And that is a beautiful thing that happens in relationships, because we are not triggered more than any other place in our lives, from what I've experienced and what I've experienced with others, that we are in relationships. I mean, the whole of life is a relational experience. So I mean, it's like a vessel's being forged or something.
When you stop to think how critical and how judgmental we've taught to be to navigate this world in those terms. Because my background is in biblical background, I can't help but bring in the images and the stories of Jesus and how he, through his stories, how he is so relatable to our own revelation. And for me, the universal question, and that interfaces with every relationship, who do you say I am? I'm reminded when Jesus asked his disciples, who do you say I am? And this was after all his miracles, All his incredible, they've walked with him all this time. And it was Peter who says, "You are the Christ." And his response was, "No flesh and blood revealed this to you." And so that came from love recognizing love. The Christ in Peter recognizing the Christ in Jesus. And that's us. That's the purpose of a mirror. Is can I sit in that place of love in which it answers your questions? Who am I? Who am I?
Beautiful.
Because we lose our way in this life. We lose our sense of self so easily. You know, one of the things when people become empathic is because they're trying to merge, they're trying to know who they are. But you do that for too long, you lose who you are. Because all you know is how to emerge with someone else. Because for all the reasons that people do that, you know, they're trying to keep the peace, they're trying to please people, and then they lose all sense. And that journey back to be able to answer, I know who I am. I know who I am. And I think that is the ancient universal question. And when I sit before someone else, I'm so aware, who am I to you? Because I look for that love reflected back. And it just becomes this beautiful dance of relationship, of being known as I am known, going back. And you read Jesus' writings, and that's all it's all about, is to be known and to be able to reflect that.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I love that. Yeah, I think that's how Jesus healed, actually. I think that's the miracles where he was able to stand as the example life and reflect that, you know, that blazing light of love and be able to reflect that back to someone. And when they're able to accept that within themselves,
absolutely,
that is a moment of pure liberation.
Yeah.
Yeah, when
absolutely. And they try to pin that on him in saying, you healed me. He goes, no, it was your faith that healed you. It is your own knowing, your own revelation. Because love heals everything.
Yeah.
And we judge it by the physicalness of it, but that's not what he's talking about. He's talking about the healing of the fractured sense of who we are. That the world would dictate what our identity is, where other relationships in ego state dictates to us who we are. But we need to ask ourselves, who am I?
Yeah.
Who am I to me? And believe that. You know, in the world we're called to seeing is believing. You've heard that, right?
Oh yeah, seeing is believing.
Seeing is, but we're called to believe first.
Yeah.
To believe first. And that to me is an act of faith.
Yeah, there's a trust in there that goes.
It is.
Yeah, there's a deep trust.
You know, we talked about this, you and I have had the experience and the honor of sitting with people who are dying. And when you're sitting with a person dying, it's not about fixing. It's not about giving advice. It's not about any of those things. But it's about being so present so that they can see and feel and experience that longing question is, who am I? Who was I in my life? And who am I now? And to be able to journey with someone through that pain of immense loss and their fear in losing their life, and to be with them in however way they experience it. It was through that journey that helped me greatly at how to sit with someone in their pain.
Yeah, I love that. Everything is, it's like you're holding it all in a space of love. And something just dawned on me the other day. I was thinking like, okay, I love the feeling I get when I say love is freedom. And, we've had a few people on our podcast show say that love is freedom. But you know what? Something came up for me the other day about love, and I feel like it's similar to what you're just saying. To me, I would say the closest way in this moment I can express what love is. Well, of course, we know it can't really be defined, but language is a barrier, but we do the best we can. It's like an openness, like the essence of love is openness.
Mm-hmm.
And we keep opening and opening and opening.
Yeah, it's that giving and receiving, like an embrace. When I can't wait to give you a hug one of these days, because the hug is a giving and a receiving.
Mm-hmm.
In physical. Look at your arms, they're wide open, right? And you just embrace and you feel them and they feel you. That's it in the physical form. And so when we can sit with someone energetically and embrace them, they feel that.
Oh, yeah.
They feel it in such incredible ways. And I love that experience like in Zoom, that people actually can feel that energy.
I know, it's beautiful.
It is.
And that just shows you that, as we're told in A Course of Love and A Course in Miracles, the miracle does collapse the laws of time and space. And I believe in physics, that's called quantum physics, it's called entanglement.
That's why relationship and dialogue is so important when it's so open, like what we're doing. Openness to share and to be in a place of such immense, and I like the word vulnerable, but I think it starts with us being vulnerable to move into the invulnerability of presence, which only love can touch. Beyond the pain, beyond the suffering, we come to this place in which we experience wholeness, completeness, wholeheartedness. And to be with another in that's what we're meant to experience in our relationship.
Yeah, I love that. That's what everyone longs for. I love that too, where you're saying that holy longing. In order to reach the invulnerability, you have to walk through the vulnerability.
Absolutely.
Doing whatever you need to do. I'm not making any of it wrong. I'm just saying, but eventually the escape mechanisms, we see that it doesn't really bring us peace.
No.
The only piece is to be able to walk through all of that, not to make any of it wrong, not to push any of it away, and to know that within that vulnerability, walking through that, there is an invulnerability that comes, and that's that groundedness, that space that I'm referring to, where you actually feel held. And that's why I love like the heart-centeredness, the wholeheartedness. There's a feminine quality to it because there's a healing aspect in it, and also reminds me of a mother. A
mother's love,
nurturing energy that holds you. I can just rock you in my arms and I can hold you. Just cry if you need to, whatever you need to do, but I'm here for you. And it's a very like feminine, motherly energy that you're being held in the embrace.
Absolutely. And love in its completeness loves all of it. It isn't like I love you in spite of, no, it's I love you because all of it. And when we go through and we're in that place of vulnerability, that's how we know. That's how we know ourselves. It's in all of it. And the ability to integrate it all. When Jesus said, "Be you perfect as I am perfect," that word perfect is rendered incorrectly in the English. In the original text, it says, "Be complete as I am complete." And that completeness is about all of it.
Yes.
It's about all of it.
That's the wholeness. Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's the whole wholeness. I mean, it's the whole wholeness. Well, when I say holiness, I'm also referring to wholeness.
Yes.
That's I am the Father are one, and
Yeah.
that's the wholeness, like I said, of the whole of that experience, and to be able to meet whatever's arising. That's without pushing any of it away, because then your experience is not whole, it's fragmentary.
That's right. Absolutely. And I like how you did that, because when you say holy, that's a hard word for a lot of us to have a concept of. But we understand wholeness
I know.
and completeness. We understand that at such a deep level.
Mm-hmm.
We get it. We don't always get holy. Unfortunately, it's attached to do's and don'ts, right?
I know. I know. It's attached to religion and
It is.
and what it should be like. A Catholic, I have to go to confession,
Exactly.
confession and, confess all my sins, and then
have your penance.
like
Yes.
10 Hail Marys and 10 Our Fathers. Yeah, so I agree that wholeness. But I think it's even Rumi that talks about, you mentioned longing earlier. I think it's Rumi. It could be some other Christian or Persian mystic or whoever. Rumi's Persian. There's a holy longing in all of us, and it's like there's this homing beacon that's always
right.
there. It's calling us home. A Course of Love has a line that says that longing is proof of love's existence, because we would not long for what is not remembered. So there's like that deep prayer of the heart, that deep inner calling that we know that we are love. It's just a matter of walking through the conditioning and not being afraid to look at all that and removing the blocks to love's awareness. And it's so helpful to have a companion, and going back to where we started, this companioning. This is what's going to heal the planet, this true dialogue. I'll call it even a holy dialogue, the relationships, everyone. I think it was Oprah that said out of all of her interviews that she ever had, the one thing that she learned was that everybody wants to be seen and heard.
Absolutely.
And I feel like that's it. I mean, that's the healing of this planet right now.
And you're so right, to be seen and heard. And as you know, when people are dying, again, they want to know that they've been seen for who they really are, no matter what it was that they did. It just comes down to if only they saw, if only they knew me and my heart. My work, I don't like to call it work. I call it devotion.
Oh, beautiful.
Because it is a devotion of mine to sit with people in all of who they are. Because it also reflects to me all of who I am, and all the places that I felt that I have failed, and all the places that I felt that I have succeeded. And to be able to experience that in another human being is the greatest gift that's given to me. That's why I call what I do a devotion.
I love that, a devotion. Yeah, that's so beautiful. Well, Lan Thi, I think we're kind of coming up on our time here, and I wanted to ask you, is there any last minute words of wisdom or thoughts you have about anything before we have to close our dialogue today?
I just would really encourage people to not be afraid to experience who they are, and to trust that they will see themselves in this life, and to reach for those that would help them feel supported in that.
Thank you, Lan Thi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Lynn.
Yeah, it's such an honor to have you here. And thanks to all our listeners for joining us today. Next time, our guest will be Angela Halverson Bogo, and we're going to be talking about another interesting topic, the transformational power of play. So we all get to go out like children and play, and we'll explore that topic. If anyone has any questions, we would love to feature your question and our question of the week. Write us or email us at loveistheanswerforyou. That's number 4, loveistheanswerforyou@gmail.com. Again, that's number 4. And thanks so much, Lan Thi, for joining us today. It's really a delight to have you. And we look forward to connecting with everyone next time.
Thank you so much, Lynn. It was my pleasure.